The Quran was being revealed slowly, and Muhammad would give a little bit of revelation, as was important to a certain context, and then he'd give a little bit more, and he'd give a little bit more, and all these different revelations were put into a book later. They were all collected into chapters later. So you can't necessarily read from one section to the next and expect it to all flow. There's a lot of jumping around. There's a lot of verses being tossed in the middle. There's actually many stories in the Quran, and only one of them actually has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. All the rest of them pick up in the middle, or they leave off before it's ended. So the Quran is very different.
I learned how to recite the Arabic of the Quran starting at the age of 3. By the time I was 5 years old, I had recited the entire Quran in Arabic, memorized the last 7 chapters. And I would invite Christians to accept Islam. I would ask them questions like, why do you believe in a Trinity? Isn't that polytheism? I would say, how can you believe the Bible? Hasn't it been corrupted? I would say, Jesus never claimed to be God. He was just a prophet. He's a Messiah, sure, but he's not God. I would challenge Christians on all these points because I loved my Islamic faith. I saw it as the true monotheism. I did see it as the religion of peace. The Quran and the Bible are not the same book, but a lot of times we come to them exegetically as if they were. Muslims and Christians will come to the Quran exegeting them as if they were their own book, or they'll come to the Bible exegeting it as if it was the Quran. This is a problem. The Quran was not written like the Bible. How was it written? Muhammad would receive a revelation, or so the Islamic sources say, about 5 verses at a time, generally speaking, according to the Hadith. He would relay to his scribes. The scribes would write them down, and that was one recitation. And later again, and later again, later again, and then at the end, and sometimes it'd be longer, at the end all of them were collected when he died. So it's very possible that one section of the Quran, one verse, has very little to do with the next verse, at least at face value. That's why you have the whole series of hadith called Asbab an-Nuzul, which I'm sure you're familiar with. The hadith that say, this is when this verse of the Quran came, this is what it means. This is when this verse of the Quran came, this is what it means. And so you need the hadith to exegete the Quran because one verse does not necessarily relate to the next. Bible's not like that.